this year marks the third election cycle that Santa Barbara has used mail-in ballots. Frazier was the best athlete on the field. They used him in a variety of different sets, obviously on special teams. Earlier tonight, I got a first-hand look at just how intense a process city development can be. Try to dedicate that game to him against Santa Paula. It's a big one for them, but the good news is he's going to be all right. But the story of the game, about 5 minutes into this game, there was a hard tackle at midfield. Both teams got together, and something happened inside of that scrum, and Fifi Baden of UCSB was red carded, and it's become such a big deal that one local filmmaker decided to head to Mexico to check things out for himself. Yeah, Victoria, we really are lucky that nobody was injured on the sidewalk, especially considering that there were a lot of people out last night. These two teams meet. You get the biggest crowds in the nation for soccer. They're expecting over 11,000 tonight at Spanos Stadium. A lot of the parents are very comfortable leaving their kids here at UCSB. They feel like they got a lot of faith in them and their decision-making process. They started the season with 3 straight wins, but they've lost 2 in a row, including a tough 1-0 loss to UCLA. Coach, Orchid Academy, you guys take them on tonight here at Righetti High School. You know them well. You've beaten them the last 2 times, including the playoffs last year. The 49ers just never seemed to show up. Kaepernick was off his game, and that defense up there for Seattle, when they play at home, they are very tough to beat. The more adult charts, the bigger ones, actually spend more time out by the islands, but the reality is a lot more research needs to be done to figure out all their migrational patterns. His name is Jesse Eisenstadt, and he knew there was a story to tell when he read about the increase in drug smuggling boats coming ashore along the coastline of Santa Barbara County. So he decided to drive down to Baja to investigate the story. Smuggling boats are also called panga boats, and already this year there have been over 16 incidents along the Central Coast. 25,000 pounds of marijuana has been seized by law enforcement, and close to 100 arrests have been made. That's a significant increase from last year's numbers.
It's not about the pangas themselves, it's about innovation on smuggling migrant workers and marijuana into the United States.
As the U.S. government tightens security along the border with Mexico, drug dealers have had to find alternative routes to the U.S., and the Central Coast has become an attractive destination.
We have stretches of unpopulated coastline for miles, and we're easy targets.
We figured there'd at least be a dude in a Jeep or somebody watching.
Eisenstadt's documentary, called Baja Smugglers, was released on YouTube. He's quick to point out that while some boats can carry over $3 million worth of marijuana, it's a small fraction of what the U.S. government plans to spend on eliminating the problem.
The real money in the panga smuggling story, which is the money in trying to stop it, which is drones, military helicopters, up to $50 billion in the new Senate package on immigration reform.
Yeah, in talking to Eisenstadt, he said that if the government continues to try to crack down on these smuggling boats, that the drug dealers are just going to find other ways to get their drugs into the country, that the drug trade is just that big of a business. Reporting live from East Beach, Jim Murray, News Channel 3. Jason Frazier made his mark on the Carpinteria High football program early in the season opener. On their first offensive possession, he torched the Templeton secondary for a 59-yard touchdown. And it didn't take long for the senior transfer to fit in with his new teammates.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he was never not a part of our family. You know, he just jumped right in and just went with the flow.
Frazier finished with 2 touchdowns and almost 200 yards of total offense in the opener. His on-field success can be traced back to how comfortable he feels in his new surroundings.
The first day it was family. I treat them like family, they treat me like family, and that's how it stays. We're a big family around here.
The coaching staff knew that Frazier was fast, but they didn't know he was such a complete player on the football field. He gives the Warriors the big strike capability they need to compete in the competitive Tri-Valley League.
The thing is, he's just as fast in a football uniform as he is in a track uniform, which was a little bit surprising. I don't think we were ready. We didn't know. It was kind of unknown factor that way. Sometimes you can really run in track, but you can't run in a football uniform. But he's got football speed.
Reporting from Carpinteria, Jim Murray, News Channel 3. The movement started at Alameda Park.
We've got to preserve and protect our planet for ourselves and for future generations. Thank you all for being here.
And moved to the Sunken Gardens at the courthouse.
This is not just a Midwest issue, this is an American issue.
And by the time the march ended by Stearns Wharf, it was clear that once again, Santa Barbara residents want their voices to be heard when it comes to the environment.
Well, when it comes to energy and environmental protection and energy saving, Santa Barbara's at the forefront, has been for decades. And I think this shows that no matter what the issue is, even if it's thousands of miles away, we care about it right here at home.
Today's march was part of a bigger national movement, but locally, there's a feeling that if the pipeline proposal is passed, California has more to lose than most states.
Well, California tends to lead the way on these issues. We have really an extraordinarily beautiful state, and our natural resources are actually our economic resources as well. We are heavily dependent on the things that nature provides for us.
Well, Santa Barbara has always had a strong history of environmentalism. A lot of people actually trace that back to the infamous 1969 oil spill. The 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill remains the largest oil spill to have occurred in the waters off California. And the devastation that it left still weighs heavily on the minds of local residents.
A lot of people think about projects like the Keystone Pipeline as being across the country, when in fact projects like that will affect our region.
Reporting from Santa Barbara, Jim Murray, News Channel 3. Practice a little bit late because earlier today they decided to do something very nice for Jonathan. They met up after school at the gym and they decided to walk down to his house. He lives very close to school and they wanted to see firsthand how he looked. He got out of the hospital earlier today. Now the bad news is he's not going to be able to play football again this year. The good news is he's going to be okay. He's going to make a full recovery. He's got several broken bones. But it was a very emotional scene to see everybody walking down the street to see him. They wanted to let him know that he's still part of the team, even though he's not out there. Now, head coach Ben Halleck talked about why the team decided to visit him today.
Hopefully it's something that's good for Jonathan, because that's why we're here.
Now, I was able to speak with the Sheriff's Department today. They did not release any new information on the investigation into the crash. They believe that there were 3 people in the car. They've caught 2 of them. They're still looking for 1, and they're still unsure who was driving the car. Now, the Carpinteria has a very big game this weekend against Santa Paula on Friday night, and in speaking to several of the players on the team, they want to dedicate this game on Friday to Jonathan because he was such an integral part of the team on both sides of the ball, both offensive and defensive. Reporting from Carpinteria High School, Jim Murray, News Channel 3.